In this digital economy, the pressure is just relentless, isn't it? Work harder, move faster, do more, more, more. But what if that whole approach is, well, wrong? What if the real secret to getting ahead isn't about working harder, but about thinking smarter?
So let me ask you this straight up. Are you busy or are you effective? It sounds like a simple question, right? But your answer reveals pretty much everything about how you operate in this crazy, fast-moving world. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
So, most of us, if we're being honest, get stuck over here on the left in what we'll call the reactive mindset. It's a world of constantly responding to dings and pings, putting out fires, and basically letting the outside world run our schedule. But the goal, the real game changer, is to shift over to the right, to the strategic mindset. This is where you design your environment, where your calendar is intentional and your choices are proactive. It's all about taking back control.
Okay, so how do we actually make that shift? It's not magic. We do it by literally upgrading our thinking. We move from just reacting to everything to acting with real intention. And the tools we're going to use to do that are called frameworks.
Now, let's be super clear. These frameworks aren't just little tips or tricks. They are absolutely not shortcuts. Think of them more like structural upgrades to your mental operating system. They fundamentally change how you think, not just what you're doing day to day. Our first batch of frameworks is all about building influence and authority. And this is a really critical idea. It's all about how people perceive you and your work, especially when you're not even there. What's the story they tell about you when you're not in the room? See, a powerful reputation isn't built by shouting about your own wins. It's actually built indirectly. It's in that quiet, day in, day out consistency. It's in the integrity you show. It's even in how you talk about other people. And when you nail this, something amazing happens. Opportunities just start to flow your way without you having to force them. And that leads us to this next principle, which is captured perfectly in this quote. In a world where literally everyone is screaming for attention, the person who speaks with clarity and intention is the one who really gets heard. And where does that clarity come from? So often, it comes from restraint. Just taking that extra second to pause before you speak. Choosing your words with care. Not feeling like you have to jump in and fill every single moment of silence. These things project incredible confidence and control. Strategic silence isn't a weakness. It's a superpower that boosts your authority and your influence. All right, let's move on to our next set of frameworks. Now that we're thinking about influence, let's talk about impact. This isn't about how much stuff you get done. It's about figuring out where to apply your focus to get the absolute best results. The classic 80-20 rule. And it is so, so powerful. Just look at this chart. It shows that a tiny fraction of your actions, that little 20% slice, is probably driving the huge majority of your results. The trap we all fall into is spending all our time tweaking and optimizing the 80% of stuff that's just low-value noise. The real win? It's identifying that critical 20% and just doubling down on it. So how do you find that magic 20%? It all comes down to alignment. It's that work that just feels natural to you, almost effortless, yet it produces amazing results. We all have those draining tasks that suck our energy for barely any return. The trick is to spot them, reduce them, and design your work around your actual strengths. That, my friends, is real leverage. And one of the best ways to make sure you're actually doing that high leverage work is to protect your time for it. This principle is all about creating momentum with an early focus. Think about those first few hours of the day, before the emails and the meetings start flooding in. That's your golden time. That is your strategic advantage. Use it for deep work and you'll ride that wave of momentum all day long. Which brings us to our final and maybe most important set of frameworks. Because look, influence and impact are fantastic, but they don't mean a thing if you burn out in 6 months. The ultimate advantage is designing systems for sustainable, long-term performance. Just look at the difference here. The unplanned schedule on the left, that's a recipe for stress and chaos. But strategic planning on the right isn't about having a rigid minute-by-minute schedule. It's about making the important decisions ahead of time before the distractions hit. It frees up so much mental energy and protects your focus for what really counts. Let's just state a simple, undeniable fact. Time is fixed. We all get 24 hours in a day. You can't make more of it, period. But, and this is the absolute game changer, energy is variable. It goes up it goes down. And understanding this is the real secret to sustainable high performance. So, managing your energy is way more important than managing your time. I mean, think about it. Are you doing your most challenging, creative work when your mental energy is at its peak? Or are you wasting that precious time on email? Are you grouping similar tasks together to avoid the massive brain drain of switching back and forth? Real, sustainable output comes from this kind of alignment, not from trying to force yourself to be motivated when you're running on empty. Okay, we've covered the key frameworks, but what does this all actually look like in the real world for you? Let's get practical and see how you can use this stuff to build a real long-term digital advantage. If you're running an online business, this means prioritizing actions that can scale instead of getting lost in tiny optimizations. If you're building a career, it means focusing on leveraging your unique skills, not just looking busy. And for anyone working remotely, this is a big one, design your schedule around your energy cycles, not just when you're marked as available on the calendar. And this quote just sums the whole thing up perfectly. Everybody today is obsessed with speed, but if you're going a million miles an hour in the wrong direction, all you're doing is getting lost faster. The real advantage comes from having the right direction. So here's your new action plan, a way to put all of this together. You start by designing systems that protect your focus. Then you isolate those few high-leverage actions that move the needle. All the while, you're building credibility through your quiet consistency. You plan proactively to free up your mind, and the foundation of it all, you align your work with your energy. You see how they all lock together? It's a system. If you take away just one thing from our time together, let it be this. A real, lasting advantage isn't built on flimsy things like motivation or willpower. It's not emotional. It's built structurally by designing better systems for how you operate. So let's bring this all home. I want to leave you with one final question to really think about. Based on everything we've talked about, what is the one low-value distraction that you are going to make a conscious, intentional choice to simply ignore tomorrow?